Dr. Weber, I have three brief questions that I think engaged Californians will be interested in hearing about as the state and the nation gear up for this year's important election cycle. First, let's look back over the last 2 years. What has been the biggest challenge to conducting elections during the pandemic? And this is seen both from your position in the state legislature in 2020 and your role as Secretary of State in 2021 and beyond.
Well, I think the greatest challenge period, of course, during the pandemic was keeping people safe. You know, people not wanting to spend a lot of time indoors with individuals, not wanting to wait in line, concerned about whether or not there were things sanitized and so forth and so on. So our biggest challenge was to ensure people that it was a safe election. We dealt with a lot of other things, but mainly that people felt like they could vote. And so in order to do that, we basically had to make sure that we dealt with issues of social distancing and those who were being quarantined and those things. So as a result, we agreed to mail everyone a ballot. We knew from the past that we had the authority to do that. We mailed everyone a ballot. We had ballot boxes so people could do that. They could vote at home. They could vote at the ballot box, but it gave them that level of security that it was at least going to be safe enough to go vote.
Next, what changes were made that you'd want to keep going forward?
Well, the interesting thing is that prior to the pandemic and prior to the gubernatorial race, we had the opportunity to see what would happen in other areas because we had what we call VCA counties, people who had a complete mail-in ballot. We had more days to vote, more opportunity, those kinds of things. And so as a result of that, seeing how successful it was, it kind of shocked many of our register of voters because it wasn't chaotic and it was easy to do. And if it's funded well, you have a staff to accomplish it. So we then, as a result of past legislation afterwards, to make it permanent, that we have a permanent vote by mail situation for every voter in California so that each one gets a ballot at their home or they're polling their residential address. Then we have obviously the ballot boxes that are available that people can basically go in and vote by ballot box and by putting it in a box. And then lastly, you know, we allowed folks to basically have more days to vote. We have this thing called More Days, More Ways, so that you have an opportunity to vote in a convenient manner, whether it's at the polls, you can go to voting centers and vote. You can also drop it in a box or you can mail it in. We decided that was going to be the way to go because people found it very convenient. We saw the turnout was in record numbers, not only in the gubernatorial race, but also in the recall election. And that basically said folks need options and they appreciated it and they used it.
Excellent. So for the last question, I want to take a little bit of a broader view. The most high-profile pandemic election was, of course, the 2020 presidential race. And there was just so much discord nationally associated with that contest. Are there any actions we need to take in California to restore and maintain trust in the election process?
Well, you know, what we did during the 2020, not only in terms of just the various options that were available for people to vote, we also, you know, decided that what we would try to do is have as much transparency as possible in voting, and let people know that they have that transparency, so that any voter can go into a registrar of voters office. They have the opportunity to watch people counting the ballots. They can follow their ballot from the time that they drop it in a mailbox till it gets to where it's going, called, where's my ballot? So we basically decided that transparency talks about all of those things. And so we offer that to all Californians. And we try to make it the issue that we're going to send out to them, that if they want to basically observe the voting, they can. And I've been visited many registrar voter offices that have basically put in glass walls and glass windows for people to stand in a hallway to walk through and to see them counting the ballots, verifying the addresses and those kinds of things. They can also see it from the very beginning to the very end when we actually go in and validate the vote with the 1% voting security thing that we do that makes sure that everybody knows that our ballots and our voting was accurate. So we try to open it up to everyone, and everyone should know that they have the opportunity. They can just contact their registrar voter and they can get that done. So we think that's important, and in California it's been important. We also ask for those who vote and who have had a chance to observe and see things, that they become the trusted messenger. Most folks will ask me about the whole issue of voting and whether or not it's safe and transparent. And then when I ask them, what do you think? They say, oh, I believe everything counts. Everything's great. I said, then you become a trusted messenger and you let your neighbors and your friends know that they can do likewise. They can go look at this situation, but every vote counts, and they can follow their ballot from the moment they drop it in a box or drop it in a post office and find out where their ballot is and how it's been counted. So transparency has worked for California, and we think it works across the nation for those who truly want to make sure that the system is working.
Excellent. Dr. Weber, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.